commenting on the reminder. So,
okay,
so hello everybody who is the early birds with their notifications on, who are already here to say hello. What was I going to see the comment with? Oh, I dropped it on the floor, didn't I? Dropped my phone on the floor. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. I haven't got tea today, but I've got some water.
I have coffee.
You have coffee.
Cheers.
In your winter mug. Right, Wayne, I know that people can't see you yet, but do you have your hot beverage?
Excellent.
Yes, indeed. Good. Right. So we are ready to go. So we'll just wait a couple of minutes for people to come on in, because we know that there are some people that are interested in this one.
Good afternoon.
Yep. Good afternoon. If you're there, give us a wave or a hello.
Loving the coffee and the chocolate emoji there.
Yeah, I love it.
Fantastic.
So we've got Elaine, Dion, Sean. Hello, Sean. Hello, Kimberly as well. Hello. Sean actually followed us from the Shut-Ins Got Talent.
Okay.
Oh dear. So thank you for coming over and seeing what this is all about when we're not singing.
I was a bit squiffy that night.
Yeah. Hello, Kimberly. How are Megan's videos doing? Hello, Una. We've got a few people coming on in today.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I've missed you all.
It's really weird, and yesterday was really odd as well, wasn't it? To not do it for 3 days, and all of a sudden it was like, oh,
felt like months.
Yeah, like how do we do this again?
The days just mould.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us on our lunch break. We're going to try and keep this one to within 30 minutes, 40 minutes, because I know that Wayne and I both like to talk a lot.
Oh God, I've got some mega interrupting to do today then, obviously.
You do, but I'm really...
I'm a little sideshow Bob.
But I'm really pleased you're here, because there's a lot that Wayne and I know about each other anyway, having worked with each other for so long. Over 2 years now. Hello, Joe. So you can actually ask those questions that I might just take for granted.
Oh, right, okay, I'm good at that.
So I know that Wayne can hear us at the minute, so I hope that you're... Yeah.
And if anybody has any questions as well, feel free to type them in there.
Yes, please do. Really great. Finally, a few minutes. Well, thank you for joining that time with us, Kim. So without further ado, Wayne. I've worked with Wayne on one of my projects.
We have a guest.
We have another guest. So we had Hannah 2 weeks ago. She's coming back tomorrow evening, if all goes well. But I wanted to show you some insight as to someone who's really lived the life of acceptance, particularly in the last couple of years as well, and also just a very interesting character, because I've been sharing a post over the last couple of days about how extraordinary everybody is, and Wayne is definitely one of those individuals. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you to Wayne. So he'll be coming up. Please put your hands together. Hello, Maureen. Hello, Lauren.
Hello.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello, Wayne.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Abigail. Hi, everybody. The right-hand side.
So from what I gather, I don't think Wayne can see the comments that come up. So Wayne will be relaying whatever comments come up. So we can answer questions that come in from the floor, as it were, as well.
I feel like we're on a chat show. This is amazing.
It's great, isn't it?
Like guest appearance.
Yeah, guest appearance. And where are you, Wayne? It looks like a real good little tool shed.
This is my my man cave. This is where I do my photography bits and pieces that isn't taking photographs. Oh, having said that, I do have a little desktop studio here, so I do my desktop work on that as well.
So amazing.
This is where the magic happens.
Where the magic happens. And your man cave existed before quarantine as well, didn't it? Because I know a lot of people have been building them since.
Yeah.
Wow.
This used to be my office when we first moved here 20 years ago. It's the garage, and I converted it into an office. And then eventually, as I became office-based, it kind of became a craftsroom, because both Diana and I are into crafts and art and things like that. And it just became a junk room. And at the beginning of this year, I converted it back into my space. I reclaimed it.
I like that a lot. Now, for people that are watching who don't know you at all, do you mind giving the whistle-stop tour as to who is Wayne?
Wayne, yeah. I'm I'm a 62-year-old post-retirement bloke. I worked in business management and sales for many, many years. Then 5 years ago, I had advanced bowel cancer, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, open surgery that didn't go quite right. It went right in as much as I don't have cancer anymore, but I'm left with some quite significant ongoing problems. And they have affected my mental health as much as my physical health, which is kind of like leaping forward a few years, how I got involved with Activate Your Life.
Yeah, because you were quite a stoic in the beginning, weren't you? You carried on working, you didn't let it necessarily get in the way too much, and it was actually down the line that things started taking a toll mentally.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, I have to say, the cancer never made me ill. And, it was just a bit of serendipity, I suppose, that I found out I had bowel cancer, even though it was advanced. No real symptoms. And it was initially inoperable, but I had radiochemotherapy to shrink the tumor. That was very successful. And again, that didn't really make me too ill. I went to work every day. I was having the chemotherapy. And I'd go and have my radiochemotherapy every morning. I'd go off to work and, some side effects, but nothing significant. I was told I'd be off work for about a year after surgery, but I went back to work after 10 days.
Oh my goodness.
Incredible.
Yeah, and 10 days later, I was back in hospital again.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, Wayne,
I took another couple of weeks off, and then I went back to work again. But this wasn't about being a hero or anything like that. I had a great team of people, and it was very supportive having those people around me. Yeah. And I was in the fortunate position of, because I was the boss, I really didn't have to do any work. I had people who could do the work for me, and and I just them.
Yeah.
Big pointer. Oh, Tula. And so it was just a question of me going to work and sort of sitting at the steering wheel and and directing the business. I didn't physically have to do anything. Just thinking. But before I went off work, I had put everything in place for me to be off work and for the business to run without me there. So it was doing that anyway. I had done that preparation. Yeah. So it was just a feeling thing.
Sounds like how I led Activate Your Life.
Well, it's strange because, and I know we get onto this, but I might as well talk about this now, because if we talk about acceptance, and I think it's strange how, both you and I, Tom, we understand Activate Your Life and acceptance and how it works, but how much of Activate Your Life, how much of acceptance and commitment therapy we know or we've stumbled across and we've used bits of it in our life. Now, when I was diagnosed with cancer, the only goal I set myself was for things to be normal, to keep things as normal as possible. But I was prepared to make a new normal, and I was prepared to adapt normal to my life. And it's pretty much the situation that we're in now in terms of lockdown. I know I've given this bit of advice to a few people online. People saying, how long is this going to last? I can't wait to get back to normal. I said, well, probably, from my point of view, this now is normal. Don't spend your life waiting, in anticipation and anxiety, waiting for things to get back to the way they were, because we don't know how long that's going to be. Accept this as normal, maybe, and when things change, well, that'll be the normal then.
Yeah.
And it's an easier state of mind just to accept where you are and the situations of now.
Yes. And interestingly, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it's two people that follow kind of self-help books by the book, and the podcast is called By the Book. And they reviewed for 2 weeks Who Moved My Cheese? And the psychologist that kind of wrote that book was, you should always expect to lose your cheese, which makes you more adaptable, which is the psychological flexibility element of ACT, which I find really interesting, that this book, written like tens of years ago, was able to still have, and it's called Who Moved My Cheese, is still very much fundamentally relevant today by accepting these new stages of normal that we're currently in. It's just that it takes time for people to be able to adjust, and that choice to adjust when you've not had to in the past is something that's very difficult.
It is, and it's I suppose it really is, about people understanding what acceptance is. And to do that, they have to understand exactly where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the big things that happens, and probably I would say the best bit of advice I was ever given, and again, I was given this advice in a business context, but it's something that has served me really well through my cancer and through my anxiety and depression and things like that, is to keep making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you keep making decisions, you will be in control. Don't just let life happen to you, because you become like a pinball. You bing, bang, bang across, and things in life are impacting on you. Just make the decisions. You choose. There are no right or wrong decisions, because you will never know what the outcome would have been for the choice you didn't make. You have no idea what may have impacted on that. So you make the decisions, and you accept where you're going, and you adapt to those situations. But the main thing is, by doing that, you are in control of your own life. Things and life just isn't happening to you.
Yeah, and it's not just, as you say, you're not just bouncing around in the ether then as well. That's brilliant. I'm going to soundbite that if you don't mind, Wayne. That was really well put as well.
Actually, that bit of advice was given to me. I was leaving a job based in Leeds, and I was driving to Leeds from Swansea for my leaving do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some horrendous accidents around the Midlands, and every route I was trying to take was blocked, and there was roadworks and things like that. And I'd chosen, I'd gone on a road, and I'm heading towards Stoke instead of Leeds. And, oh God! And at one point, I phoned my boss. And I said, I don't think I'm going to make it. I said, this is chaos. I've been on the road hours. I don't know. I think I'll just. He said, no. He said, don't do that. He said, just keep making decisions. That's all you've got to do, is keep making decisions, and you'll get your. We'll wait, and we'll see you. We'll meet you at the restaurant and that. And it wasn't given to me in any kind of great, profound circumstances. It was just a bit of encouragement. But when I sat back and analysed it later, I thought, wow, this is powerful stuff if you use it.
Yeah,
and I use it every day.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they don't make decisions because they either fear the outcome that they've made up in their head, or the number of outcomes in their head, or they think, well, if I decide to do that, I can't do the other one, which is a fear of missing out, which means that they decide to do nothing about it. So they actually miss out on going headfirst into both anyway.
Yeah.
And then,
it's cool stuff.
Yeah, and then so you were plowing on with work, and you had this diagnosis, and you went back to work, and then you were back in hospital afterwards. How long after did because of course that was something that was out of your control anyway, to have that diagnosis and to have that treatment and things that were going on from that point of view. What was it about having that lack of control and the time that passed you that made you think, I need some support here?
Work had become quite a challenge for me. What had happened was, oddly, in work, I was almost regarded as some kind of superhero, because not only was I sort of doing this and going to work and carrying on and being perceived as being very, very stoic, but I was running the only region in the country that was actually making money. So I was growing my business at 30% a year, while the rest of the business was going backward at a similar rate.
Well done.
So I was doing really well. but all of a sudden they had a massive change. People started leaving. My general manager left. Then I was reporting directly to the Southern Regional Director, who left. Then I was reporting to the Northern Regional Director, who left. Then the chairman left. And the entire layer of management, the director level of management above me, all left, and a new team was brought in.
Right.
And I had a new boss that I was reporting to, who wanted to do wholesale changes to the business. And I didn't disagree with him, but you make your feelings felt and things like that. But anyway, that's it. He was one of these people, and we come across them, Tom, during Activate Your Life, who were afraid of cancer.
Yes.
He couldn't say the word cancer, and he didn't like it, and he kind of saw it as a threat, and he was putting all kinds of pressures on me. In the meantime, post-surgery, I was having recurring problems from an infection, and it was giving me trouble traveling.
Right.
So I must say, I was looking after sort of the West Wales region, the southern half of Wales, and I was also babysitting North Wales, which had problems. So I was in there sort of as what do they call it? When they you have an area in crisis, and like when they put the headmasters into it.
It's special measures and things like that.
So I went to him and I said, look, I said, I'm having a few problems traveling. I'm going to have to stop looking after North Wales. I said, I'm just going to have to focus on my area, and I have to give up the North Wales area. And I said, I'm going to have a bit of trouble traveling to meetings outside the region. I said, I don't mind if they're down in West Wales or in Cardiff, but if we're having any meetings outside of that, I'm going to have a bit of trouble traveling to them. He immediately switched every planned meeting to Wrexham. And there was a whole bunch of crap like that went on, and it was all designed to put pressure on me. And in the end, it was a very particular day. My daughter was moving back to Cardiff, and in work, I was really feeling the pressure, and I thought, I need a day off. I phoned him up and I said, I need to book Friday off. My daughter's going back to Cardiff, moved back to Cardiff, and I need to give her a hand to move. And that was fine. That was also Brexit Day. So the Thursday was the Brexit vote. This was the Friday. So and I also thought, well, that's okay. So when there's voting elections, I like to stay up and watch the results coming in. I didn't stay late that night. So the next day, in terms of the fact that I wasn't in work, all hell broke loose in work, and he was emailing and phoning me all day because oil prices were going off the scale and things like that. And but it wasn't a problem because I put things in place for that. But he was panicking. And in the end, I just got to the stage where about 5 o'clock in the evening, I just thought, I'm not going to go back to work. I'm just not going to do it. We're sitting in the van, the hired van, and then I just thought, I can't do it. Went home that night, didn't sleep very well, and about I think it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, I found myself walking the dog down, a few miles away from home to the local town. I just came home and sat on the floor, on the kitchen floor, and cried, and that was it. That was the last working day for me, or the last day I worked.
It was a pivotal moment. And how long did you stay like that before looking at getting some support? Was it quite a while? Was it just a few days?
No, the first thing was on the Monday, straight to the doctors, and onto the SSRIs, the antidepressants, and that, and unfortunately, because of the problems I've got, the surgical legacy, I couldn't take the antidepressants. I was trying different ones,
right,
because of a side effect from them.
mm-hmm.
I was struggling with that. The tablets were actually making me physically ill,
right,
although they were helping my mental situation short term.
yeah.
So I started looking for various courses and things like that. And I got a list of what was available. And so I went on a couple of stress management courses. They didn't really help me so much because it was stuff that I already knew. And in fact, in terms of my work, I always used to kind of put little stress management exercises into my meetings because, my work was a high stress environment. I was aware that the people who worked for me were under pressures. And of course, I was the source of their pressure. So, I would give them the tools to be able to handle the pressure that I was putting on them. And, and I would also balance the pressure. I wasn't a tyrant. We had a fantastic time.
Yeah.
But all these courses were doing was sort of reiterating to me things I already knew.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really help me that much because there were things I was already practicing that. And then I came across Activate Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
And that did help. That really helped me a lot. And I think, and I've told this to you before, that when I first went, and this course was in the Llewellyn Hall in Swansea, and just to give you an idea of what it's like, it's the Llewellyn Hall is a small theatre. And when we talk about these courses, and when Tom and I have done the Activate Your Life courses, we're presenting to small groups. I think probably 15 is the largest group we've ever presented to. As a
22.
No, we talk.
Sorry.
I'll trump that with a larger number when we did the one to 10 of our staff.
I'll give you that one again.
Yeah, but they were typically small groups. When I went on the stress management course, first of all, there was over 120 people attending that course.
Wow.
And when I went on the Activate Your Life course, there was 80 people there. And and I am the type of person who will sit in a room and count how many people are in there. So it's something I do, and I count how many are there each week, and the numbers going up. But the point is, and anybody who knows me, and probably anybody watching us right now, will have worked out this guy's a big mouth. I will go and I will sit in a meeting or anything like that, and at some point during that meeting, I will have an opinion and I will have something to say. So I went there and I sat right down in the very front row where I would usually place myself in any meeting. And even before the meeting had started, the anxiety in me had built up so much that I got up and I moved to the back row. Mm-hmm. Then I was sitting in the back row, and even then I couldn't cope with that. And I picked up my chair from the back row and dragged it to the back of the hall. And that's where I sat every week for 4 weeks, at the back of the hall. I really was not in a good place. Mm-hmm. Activate Your Life gave me the tools to sort of to deal with where I am and to accept the situation. And and this sense that to understand, like, anxiety isn't always a bad thing. You can have anxiety, mm-hmm. and you just need to sort of understand what you're being anxious about and say, I can get anxious over the slightest thing. I'll example now. I'll be sitting watching television, and I'll say, oh, my stomach, I feel it right there under my ribs. Anxiety, it's like churning in my stomach. I'll say, oh, I'm feeling really anxious. What's that about now? The cat hasn't back.
Mm-hmm.
Right, now, where's the cat? Is she, she go wandering off again? And I said, okay, well, I know why I'm anxious, so it's not going to escalate. I know that the cat coming back makes me anxious. There's nothing I can do about that. It's one of the things that makes me anxious. But it just becomes a little knot in my stomach that is quite manageable. And I know the cat is coming back. And so, the cat comes back and, and I'm a happy bunny again.
So some problem that some people have with anxiety is that if they do have physical tics of anxiety, they then become anxious about the anxiety that they're feeling, not taking the time to consider where it comes from. That it's individual for different people, but that can be a problem, that the anxiety brings on anxiety because you're anxious. Doesn't look out.
Oh, yeah.
And with your newfound confidence from acceptance and commitment therapy, where did you go from there?
I was chatting with a mutual friend of ours, Tom.
Yep.
A chap by the name of John Antoniazzi.
Yeah.
We had been talking online, and we'd met up for a cuppa and that. And John used to be doing the policy and political side for 10 of us. He now works for Macmillan. And so it's worth pointing out as well that his sister is also my MP, Tony Antoniazzi.
Sure is.
Which is kind of, because we started talking online politically. And he asked me to get involved in a few things he was doing with regard to working with the NHS and the Welsh Government on bowel cancer policies and things like that. So we were doing that. And then one day he said to me, hey, I hear 10 of us are doing this thing. It's a new program. It's called Activate Your Life, Affected by Cancer. He said, I think it sounds like the type of thing you'd be interested in. I said, John, I know all about Activate Your Life. I want to be part of this.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify that for people that are watching that might be confused, is that Activate Your Life, there's a primary care one that's available, and 10 of us developed one specifically for people affected by cancer. So that's where...
and you can attend them free.
Yeah, they're all free. All the primary care setting ones are all free. So if you are having any anxious thoughts, or you're worried about your mental health and your depression, you can find your local one and turn up. It's brilliant.
It's just phone your local hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get the details, certainly they're online through your local health board. But anyway, so I straight away got onto 10 of us. And they said, oh, well, we haven't really done anything with this yet, but here's a form, fill it in. And I think Tom hadn't even been given his role at that point.
Oh, wow. I hadn't known. Wayne was doing it before I was.
Wayne was on it.
So, it was something that grew. But the probably the best part about it, I think, was that it's one of those courses that you can always benefit. As with anything, with any course you go on, with any learning thing, you will probably only take away about 10% of that course, 20% if you're lucky. And certainly, when you're going on a course and your mental health isn't all it should be, you're taking away a very thin slice of it. You're taking away Band-Aid. You're taking what you need immediately to help you. But of course, when for 2 years you're presenting it week after week after week in all the different parts of it, and you're not only presenting it because you're practicing and rehearsing and things like that, and every time you're doing it, you're giving yourself therapy. But one of the great things about Activate Your Life is it just gives you tools to use, and you can use the tools that suit you.
No, very much.
I've slid in on my chair.
Before we go any further, because we're at the half an hour mark, I just want to say, if anyone who's watching now has any questions for Wayne, put them in the comments, and we'll be able to relay them back to him as well. So if anyone wants their answers their questions answered, then put them in there. And what Wayne is showing you here is a development that was Wayne's idea that we added to the Activate Your Life service, and we printed off quite a fair few of these, and that statement is true. The back is very much true. And for those that may have missed it, I'm going to put it up in the stream. Sorry for those watching on your phones, because this is now going to look really small. But on the back of that permit card is the phrase, "I can do what I want." And we all can. We are all in control of our actions, and this is kind of the fundamental part of acceptance and commitment therapy, is that our thoughts are going to happen regardless. So those anxious thoughts, those comparison thoughts, those embarrassing thoughts, those fearful thoughts, they're all going to happen. But ultimately, we can fight through that, and we can go and do regardless, which Wayne did when he turned up to the course himself, sat at the front, was uncomfortable, so sat at the back. But even though he felt uncomfortable, he still turned up for 4 weeks in a row as well. Even though at the time it would have been, this isn't for me, but I know it's helping, so I need to break through that barrier and actually turn up, because I know in the longer term this will help me.
And we kind of go beyond that, because one of the sessions that we do, or part of one of the sessions that we do, is called Being a Rebel.
Yes.
And it's about learning to liberate yourself from your own inhibitions and superstitions as well. And it allows you to sort of, gives you the freedom to get out there and do what you want to do. And, you know, I talk about, and of course, today we don't have flags, but if you get people walking on the road, oh, you know, don't step on the cracks in the pavement.
Yeah.
Well, what we would say is, do it. Go there. Step on every crack on every pavement. Step on the joints if there's no crack. Just step on everything. Dance down the street. Just do what you want to do because you can.
Yeah, a common one is the 3 drains in a row, and some people avoid them. Person I work with, we go on our walk, and she always avoids them, whereas just walk straight over them. And there's
I don't.
You don't
I don't walk over the drains. 2 is good luck.
2's
3
good luck.
is not. And if you walk over 2 drains, you have to turn around and say "White Rabbit."
I love that. Abs, do you have any questions? We do have a question.
No, but Lauren has a question.
So we got a question from Lauren, Wayne.
Yes.
How long did it take you to be able to control your anxiety?
I don't know. I really don't know.
What was the time frame then between you going to the back of the hall feeling really anxious to John coming up to you and saying, "Oh, we're doing this course, you knew all about it and you wanted to be a part of it"? What sort of time frame was that?
Probably about 6 months.
6 months. And so from ACT then sitting at the back of the room to where you were then saying, "I want to be a part of this," did you notice sort of little steps of improvement over that 6 month period? Did you force yourself to sort of like leave the house or you know, whatever it was that helped you?
If I explain it this way, probably is from the type of work that I used to do. I'm used to standing up in front of people and giving talks and presentations and things like that. Even though I was sitting in that hall, unable to sit comfortably in that hall, listening to 2 young ladies giving that presentation, I wanted even then to get up and do that presentation.
Right.
It's me. You know, I'm the person who wants to be up there doing that. And you know, that would have made me feel better if I could have been up there presenting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's my normal.
Yeah.
That, you know, they were doing what would make me feel better. Doing that. So it's, you know,
your new normal was to actually find the courage to actually stay in that room.
Yeah. I mean, you know, my anxieties weren't around that. My anxieties were around my body and the behavior of my body at the time. It wasn't about sort of, you know, being able to stand up in front of a crowd of people and talk. That actually had been taken away from me when I had to stop work.
Yes.
You know, and that not doing that was the cause of my anxiety.
Yeah.
So, you know, getting up and standing in front of people and talking, for me, is not a stressful thing. It doesn't cause me any anxiety at all. It's therapy. It's luxury. It's honey.
And if you don't mind my saying so, Wayne, to further Lauren's point, is that those your anxiety still exists as far as physical things go on, and you have these periods of time that are very kind of anxiety inducing, where you don't know what your body's doing and it really taking its toll on you. So those anxious thoughts don't go away. Just better able to recognize them for what they are and take steps to
and sitting with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a few days or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not just anxiety. There's depression as well. Mm-hmm. And that builds, and part of that, and my health problems is that I can be really well, then I'll suddenly get ill, and I'll be ill for a month or 2 months, 2.5 months, and then I'll get better, and then I'm better, and as I'm feeling better, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I am actually better. I'm not going to get ill again. And this is the penalty of having a positive mindset. Is I'm good now. I'm really great. Oh, bollocks, I'm ill again. And that roller coaster. And you get there, oh, everything's great, everything's really nice. And then when you drop, because you're in such a positive mindset, you drop like a stone.
Yeah.
It's hard work to crawl out of that, because as well as the mental effect, I have the physical problems that that go with it, and it affects the person. Now, Tom knows, and I tease him about this. I am the most punctual person you'll ever know. I really am. I'm on the belief that if you're on time, you're late, right? and that's it. So, and I'm also the most reliable person. If I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. I will be there, and it will be done. Mm-hmm. But what this health situation has done to me is to make me unreliable. Mm-hmm. I can't commit to things, and that's what I have to do. That's normal for me now as a person who I can't commit to something. Mm-hmm. I'll say, yes, I'll do it, assuming I'm well.
Yeah.
And I've sometimes gone and done things because I've said I'll do them where I really shouldn't even be out of the house.
Yeah.
But I've made that commitment. I do it, and it's that kind of thing. And it's fair to point out that many of us have our anxieties and our depressions and our mental health issues. They all manifest in different ways, and they are caused. So, many people would be anxious about sort of getting up and talking in front of a crowd. Me, that's easy. People. I have a friend who cannot spend any time on his own. He just, he cannot be inside his own head. Yeah. He always has to have company around him and doing things just to distract himself from the noise that goes on in there.
Very much, Mary. Just so we're coming out of time now, Wayne. So what would be your two, or like your one takeaway? I was going to talk to you about how important hobbies have been in photography, but we can talk about that another time. So what are your key takeaways about your circumstances and about life in general? I've made a note of two different things, which is probably how I'll wrap up. But what's your parting words?
Two things. Keep making decisions. Don't let life happen to you. Mm-hmm. And I can do what I want, because you can. Yeah. You can do what you want. I give you permission. Give yourself.
You want permission as well. Thank you so much, Wayne. Keep making decisions was one of my key takeaways, and the second one for me, as well as doing what you want, is even if you don't want to go, but it's important, still burst through that barrier and go for it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, that's fantastic.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Wayne is our takeaway.
Thank you so much, Wayne. If anyone's watching this on the replay, please put comments. Please put any questions down in the comments. I'm sure we could get a follow-up with Wayne, or even just some written answers that we could put out in a blog post or something. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you find it insightful coming from someone that isn't just me that wears it on my hoodies.
He's living it, breathing it. It's good.
Abigail is aware of Activate Life because you attended some sessions as part of your role as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it fundamentally changed. I was using.
It's really good for mindset.
Yeah.
To change your mindset.
Yeah, and I've got a video.
Deep-rooted.
So it doesn't necessarily deal with the underlying problem, but it changes your perception on the world around you. And what I might do is reshare a video that I gave at Ignite Cardiff, where I talked about how ACT helped me in the acting world.
It's worth a watch.
So I'll reshare that if I haven't already. So you can see me condense it into 5 minutes and some very dodgy pictures of me wearing not a lot. But otherwise, we'll see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. We've got Hannah. It's an evening show. Probably 7:30, so a little bit later than normal.
Yeah, it's really late.
It is really late, but it's to the grief episode that we did, and it's how to support people. Well, it's the last 2 steps of grief, which were 6 and 7, which includes acceptance and building, and also looking at how you can support people that are going through grief as well. Well
worth linking into, given the current circumstances.
Very much so, and how much it is taking over. I'm aware of lots of people in the valleys now that are being affected as well. So if you have any questions or any thoughts, please get in touch. You can drop them in the comments or send me a message, and we'll see you tomorrow evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wayne.
That's brilliant.
This is where you awkwardly until I press all the right buttons. Bye, everyone.